Hello, I'm James McLaughlin, editor of Car Design News, and welcome to Car Design Dialogues North America. Now, as the march towards electrification continues apace, the American auto industry landscape is rapidly reshaping itself. Design icons of the Ice Age are returning in EV form, fomenting a new set of design and engineering challenges and opportunities. Changing customer demands are redefining segments such as the pickup and SUV, and OEMs will need to innovate in material and technological terms to stay ahead of the game. Data is shaping design and engineering decisions, and tapping into this convergence of big tech and car design, designers are reappraising the role of UX in a bid to offer a nuanced and intuitive experience that strengthens the bond between brand and customer. And the background hum to all of these themes and beyond is sustainability. If the United States wants to be the global leader in automotive, it must lead by example, harnessing its knowledge and resources to forge a greener tomorrow. So we're going to explore all of this and more in a great series of live panel discussions, interviews, and design reviews over the next 2 days, beginning in just a moment. And we're going to be talking to the established OEMs looking to change their design direction and the new players aiming to shake up the industry. But before we kick off, allow me to introduce the team from Car Design News who are going to be your hosts. They are Deputy Editor on my right, Michael Nash, and Editor-in-Chief here at Auto Media, Christopher Ludwig. Welcome, gentlemen. Just to get your thoughts on the program to start with, I'm going to start with you, Chris. What sessions are you looking forward to?
Well, thanks, James. And I think, as you alluded to, I mean, what a great time to be talking about car design in North America with all this change happening. And I think one of the things that we've seen some of the biggest change in, or the biggest directional shifts, is in interiors. Interiors have always been important, especially for us, Car Design News. Those of you may know Interior Motives magazine, which we've it's our 20th year. So this is not a new topic as such, but I think the focus on interior and looking at inside out design, and that's something I'm going to pick up a lot on in a session a bit later today at 11:45 Pacific, 3:45 Eastern, data-driven interiors, part of our interior futures segment, which we've of course been developing here at Car Design News. And if inside out design is reshaping car architectures, not just the experience we talk about, literally the architectures, then many of course talk about the UX being the wheelbase, if you like, of the kind of interior and of the UX. The jewel in the crown is something that all of our guests have been kind of talking about. We'll hear a lot about that. I think we'll talk to our guests from Ford in shortly in our first session. But this session in particular is going to be interesting to me because we're looking at all that data which is coming into the interior, of course, from the user, from the tech. Firstly, what does that tell us about design itself? What do we have to adjust to the customer? There's the opportunity to give them so much in terms of software, in terms of usability, in terms of screens, bigger and bigger, more and more. But really, to what end? Why? What's useful? What's not? Especially when we look at the revolution in certain segments, pickups, for example, where do we balance that lifestyle, functionality, picture and stuff? It's such an interesting space, and actually in many of our panels today, but if I can highlight the one that I'll have the pleasure of hosting later, where we're joined by Stellantis, Lincoln, GAC, and more, and there's even one other that I think I'm forgetting there in that moment. But there's, it's representative of the kind of breadth of OEMs that we have here, both North American, European, Chinese, Korean, Hyundai. In fact, that was the other. There's the other person that will be in that panel, just as an example of the range that we'll be covering. So that interior space is super interesting to me. And then tomorrow we actually, we have a session on sustainable and ethical materials, as you referred to. The legendary Chris Bangle is going to join that and talk with designers from aviation, from furniture, from automotive, and how that is reshaping luxury, reshaping the way that we look at design. So just a few highlights, and I know it feeds into so much more that we're covering at the event.
Thanks, Chris. Mike, over to you.
Oh, well, you covered a fair bit there, Chris. I mean, you mentioned pickups, and I think that we've got a section on the future of the electric pickup coming up. But I think, one of the things that is quite separates the US market from Europe, I guess, is that bigger is often better, it seems. And we've got a session today, which I'm really lucky to chair, called We're Next for SUV Design. And that stems from an article we published last year on CDN on the website, and it happened to be one of the most popular articles we published. So I'm looking forward to chairing that session. We've got quite a lot of participants involved, so I'm going to try and stop them from fighting each other and talking over each other.
Don't let them fight.
So that will be fun. I'm looking forward to that. And then, Chris mentioned again as well, we're going to be tapping into this sustainability angle a fair bit. And tomorrow I'm really lucky to be hosting a session with Fisker, and Henrik is going to be joining us. And we're going to look a little bit more and delve deeper into the Ocean. So their SUV, they launched the production intent model, and myself and my colleague Abel Sampson were lucky enough to see that last year at the LA Motor Show. So it will be nice to see what they've done since launching that production intent model, and delve a bit deeper into that as well.
Wonderful. Thanks, Mike. Yes, that was at the LA show, and I know you were there with one of our colleagues who it seems an opportune moment to bring in, because he's lurking in the background.
lurking around.
Abel Sampson, who you may know if you know Car Design News. Abel, your thoughts as you crouch there.
I think the joke that Mike said about diving into the ocean was quite interesting. So
I actually completely missed it. But what are you looking forward to on the front?
I kind of think what I'm looking forward to is the supplier element of it. We've spoken about the OEMs, and we've got our supporters for the event who have really embraced the program this time, where they've actually bought OEMs. So, for example, we've got Autodesk today, where we've got Rivian involved, and they're going to be talking about how the industry has changed dramatically. And then we've got Ultra Fabrics tomorrow, where we've got Steelcase. They set the standards, if you like, with Chris Bangle talking about luxury personalization. There's some fascinating sessions. We've also got the launch of the Epic Games HMI Design Challenge, which, James, we had 2,500 innovators in creative design, which are non-traditional to automotive, watching a webinar a couple of weeks ago. So
it's a hot topic.
To get those judges to explain what they're looking for, explain to our audience and to all of you what HMI could be, what the challenges they face, and how you could use Unreal. And then there's obviously the Adobe session I think Chris is doing, where Adobe are brave enough to bring in a creative thinker to kind of showcase what they do. And Mike's going to be looking at, with linkage, the VR headset sort of scenario, and really dealing with this remote accessing and sharing data. And then we've got Magna coming in, who are going to be announcing their Bold Perspective Award brief. And I get to do that one, which is quite an honor to do that. So I think in a way, I'm looking forward to those sessions. If you want any information about these guys who I just mentioned, if you look to the left of your screen, and if you scroll down to the exhibitor button, click on it, and you can find them all there. They've got experts, they've got resources there, they've got videos. Just have a look and ping them, and you can talk to them directly or during the session. But really, I love the way that we've got a nice balance of these superstars, but then we've got the actual people who do the work, who are working with them to showcase how it can be done. So that's what I'm looking forward to. No pressure, James. You're kicking it off.
You guys have covered so much. Yes, well, for me, later on today, I'll be talking to Ralph Gilles, the head of design at Stellantis. It's a fireside chat. We're going to talk about his career, also diversity in design, many other things. So that will close the show today. That's a bit later on. In terms of the other sessions, I'm very much looking forward to that one. In terms of the other ones, Mike mentioned the future of the pickup. It's the most American of segments, the pickup, and it's the one with the most sales and the most at stake, I suppose, in this new era of electrification. There are new players with their science experiments, if you like, but there are also, we shouldn't forget the legacy OEMs or the established OEMs who are looking to kind of move into a new era of electrification. And we're going to be talking to the guys from Ram and Chevrolet about their latest work in that, and we're going to have a sort of another perspective from our writer and critic, Carl, who sort of sits slightly outside, Carl Smith, who will be offering his own take as we discuss that. So yes, that's all to come. Very, very, very excited about the program. I hope you stick with us for the next 2 days. As Abel mentioned, put your questions in the chat to the speakers, and we will do our best to get them over and answered as on the day. If we don't, we may be able to put them forward after the event. And just to remind you that the sessions you'll be able to watch the sessions on demand in the platform almost immediately. Later, they will be on the Car Design News as well. So there we go. With that, I think it's about time we stop talking and let you enjoy the first session, which is electrifying an icon, the F-150 Lightning, with Ahab Kaoud and Mark Sitch, we're going to do a deep dive into that very, very significant vehicle.
Great way to start.
Thanks. Very good.